Instead, Mr. Law and Order, Attorney General John Ashcrack has given us the USA Patriot Act, which most of Congress didn't even bother to read. Only one senator voted against it in the Senate, meaning the other 49 Democrats, as well as the Republicans, did. Only 66 in the House as well. And look what we've done since then. Rounded up 5,000 people, locked them in prison for the crime of having a Middle Eastern last name or the wrong color skin or being in the wrong place at the right time. And now they say there's still 1,200 immigrants being held incommunicado somewhere for some reason. Who are they? Why are they there? Where are they? They won't tell us. Even Amnesty International has been able to find out a little and slapped us in the face with a report saying we were keeping a lot of these people in solitary confinement, in shackles, not allowing them to exercise, see a lawyer, call their family, nothing. And the FBI justifies this by saying, well, we had to round up all these people because this Al-Qaeda thing we somehow never quite noticed before is a mosaic. And we have to decide which of these people fit into the mosaic. And hey, if we get 50 informants out of these people, that's 50 more than we have now. In other words, you're yanked away from your family, you're thrown in chains and solitary for damn near close to a year now. You're suddenly going to want to narc for the FBI? Something doesn't make sense here. And Bushcroft says that we're going to have military tribunals now, anywhere in the world. Try anybody we think is a suspected terrorist or enemy of the United States, and if a few of the people on the tribunal vote to execute the person who's not allowed a lawyer or a defense or anything else, we just kill them. Have we done it already? Nobody knows. Can you imagine the outrage if Saddam Hussein or even Canada sent their army into this country and tried somebody they didn't happen to like for unspecified crimes against the state and killed them and then left town? How would we feel? How would the Bush mob feel, for that matter? And they define suspected terrorist as anybody who attempts to influence the policy of a government, doesn't say which one, by intimidation or coercion. Kind of like what we're trying to do to Iraq and the Palestinian people, among others. But that's such a wide umbrella, that could include peaceful sit-ins, marches, protests of the kind Earth First and the anti-globalization people are so good at. Are we going to drag in people for terrorism charges for daring to be seen in a cardboard turtle suit now? Boycotts could fall under this. The sort of pranks I have such a soft spot in my heart for could as well. The way it's written, you could be aiding a terrorist organization if some other charity you gave money to or helped out was named as a terrorist organization after the fact or was supposedly linked to another one or something. They tried this during Reagan-Bush regime number 1, and the way the law was written then as now, it would have meant that if you'd given Nelson Mandela a ride to the airport after he talked to a basketball coliseum full of people about apartheid in South Africa, you could go to jail for aiding a terrorist, because up until almost the day Mandela was president of South Africa and the white regime was out, the CIA had his party, the African National Congress, on their list of terrorist organizations. Same as if you helped out CISPES or Witness for Peace or any of the people trying to stop all the death squad bloodbaths in Central America who had offices here that the FBI broke into, if that sounds familiar. Even if you do wind up one of our new prisoners of the war on terrorism, the Geneva Convention doesn't apply to our country anymore, just other countries and how they treat their prisoners. Therefore, we can take anybody we want out of Afghanistan and lock them in human-sized rat cages out in the sun in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba and leave them there until maybe someday we can think of what to do with them next. Again, how would we react if Muammar Gaddafi or somebody from Iran came in and took people out of this country and locked them in rat cages somewhere in the Persian Gulf? The really scary part of the Patriot Act that I wish the people in Congress would have read is that it now allows the FBI to come into anybody's home without a warrant anytime they want to. Search your place, go through your hard drive, see what you got on your computer, not even tell you they've been there, or then if you do know they've been there, they're going through your business records or something, and you tell somebody else, even a defense attorney, that they've been there, you can go to jail for that, too. So says the Patriot Act. And if that's not enough, this just passed the House of Representatives by a landslide, the Cybersecurity Enhancement Act, which says that for so-called malicious hacking, you can go to prison for life. The Democrats are after our ass, too, here. That known friend of the common man, Senator Joe Biden of Delaware, has introduced the Reducing Americans' Vulnerability to Ecstasy, otherwise known as the RAVE Act, which means anybody who puts on an event where people are getting down and maybe getting high, failure to keep anybody from using or selling drugs, you can be fined $500,000 and go to jail for 20 years under this law. Better stick to molesting children and serial rape instead. House of Representatives, meanwhile, has the so-called Clean Up Act, where any event promoter who knows or ought to know anybody there is high on anything can go to jail for that. Does this mean if one person lights up a joint at Ozfest, Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne and their kids get locked up too? Or for that matter, what if somebody lights up some weed in the baseball stadium, or they catch Barry Bonds and the rest of them with steroids, gobbling them up down in the dressing room? Does the owner of the Giants go to jail too? That would be an interesting way to see how they enforce that law. And now, Ashcroft has announced that the FBI is going to go back to the kind of dirty spying techniques known as COINTELPRO, as if they ever abandoned it, where they used to infiltrate people like the Black Panthers and the Students for the Democratic Society, American Indian Movement, and try and get them to commit violent acts against each other and throw them all in jail. And all the corporate lackey newspapers in America are saying, 85% of the American people think this is a wonderful idea. Congress thinks it's just a wonderful idea. Well, maybe a few more of them should know that at a courtroom in Oakland, California, Darrell Cherney and the estate of Judy Berry, two Earth First activists who at the time survived an assassination attempt against themselves when a bomb went off in Judy's car and damn near killed her at the time. She's since died of breast cancer. 12 years later, finally, they nail the FBI and the U.S. government for $4 million in damages for violating their civil rights. So the Bushcroft solution to that is just to make it all legal from now on. And Ashcroft is saying that now they're going to start infiltrating churches, legitimate political organizations, anything they think might be terrorist. FBI's been walking into libraries and bookstores again, trying to shake down the people working there for lists of who checks out what books and rents what movies and all. Yeah, that's going on all over the place now. Even trickling down in local areas, too. The Denver cops got caught red-handed keeping files and sharing them with other agencies on as many as 10,000 people for the crime of attending an Amnesty International meeting or American Friends Service Committee or something like that. This is the same police department that had almost every black person between 14 and 23 or so on their list of suspected gang members. And the Clinton administration admitted they'd begun spying on a lot of the principal organizers of the protests in Seattle after it happened. Even here, BART trains, Bay Area Rapid Transit, the ones that go under the bay from San Francisco to Oakland, Berkeley, etc. So-called BART train cops, now to fight terrorism, they got dogs with them. In, up and down the train cars, drug-sniffing dogs, just in case they catch some terrorist with a doobie in their pocket they want to smoke when they get home. That'll show the evil ones for sure. And this has given people like Southwest Airlines, Northwest Airlines, Eli Lilly and Company, and others the excuse to start going back in their employees' records for over a decade or so, and anybody who even got a slap on the wrist for smoking some weed, fired. All in the name of protecting us from the evil ones, in the name of the new buzzy-wuzzy word, Homeland Security. Homeland Security. And who do we put in charge? This guy Tom Ridge, who every time I see a picture of him, the theme from Car 54, Where Are You?, starts running through my head. I mean, the guy whose principal aim as governor seemed to be to execute Mumia Abu-Jamal, and he failed. So now, let's make him head of Homeland Security. And what do they offer us in Bushcroft world for Homeland Security? Operation Tips. Terrorist information and prevention system, where they want millions of amateur wannabe snitches. Whenever the mailman or the UPS driver or somebody at the bus station or something starts feeling a little tipsy, they can turn in anybody they want to Ashcroft for potentially terrorist-related activity.